Good morning, everyone. My name is Chuck Asickelbug. Again, I'm from the Food and Drug Administration, together with my team. Over the last 3 months, with the HHS Ignite principles firmly stuck in our brain, we've been applying a new way of thinking about a risk-based dynamic inspectional tool for work planning. So let me tell you a little bit about our progress to date. Every day, FDA goes out and conducts inspections of facilities that make products that we use on a daily basis. From the food we eat, to the toothbrushes we hopefully all use this morning, to the medicines that our grandma uses perhaps for her arthritis. FDA investigators are out there on the front line protecting and promoting public health, making sure that these products are safe and effective. We even regulate sharks, and they're delicious. The problem is, with the Food Safety Modernization Act, there's a mandate to inspect all of these facilities, these food facilities, every 3 to 5 years. And there are many of them across the country and across the world. And so we need to figure out a way to prioritize our inspections based on risk, such as for this facility here. Currently, we have an Excel-based tool that was developed in-house by one very savvy analyst who really knew the inner workings of how to apply macros and apply a lot of decision support tools into this Excel-based tool. It's very convoluted and heavy. He's actually the only individual who knows how this works. It represents a single point of failure for us to be able to implement our FSMA mandate. And so we really want to explore how we can best address these challenges. This tool is static. It's sent out every year to our different field offices across the board, and what they say is, it's not very useful. It's so complicated, it has so many rows, I think upwards of 60 to 90 rows, that people have to take that and convert it into just what they need to be able to operate and do their own work planning. More to the point, because of its static nature, it's out of date as soon as we send it out. So what happens is there are firms that have subsequently gone out of business. We send an investigator across the state of Texas 3 hours to get to a firm, and he finds a padlocked fence here. More worrisome for us is that it's also not capturing new firms that come online. New firms perhaps are the most risky for us because they haven't been subject to FDA oversight, and we really need to get down to them as soon as possible. They are only brought into this tool every 3 years. So to address these challenges, what we've put forward, and this was part of our HHS Ignite proposal, was a decision support tool that integrates the 3 sources of information and really need to make the best decisions about how best to prioritize our inspections. They start with public health priorities. It also includes our global inventory, which is constantly changing every day, and then the capacity of our workforce to be able to match the right investigator with the right firm at the right time. We came into the boot camp and we immediately pivoted to develop this prototype, very low res. We mocked it up. At the top is these decision algorithms that we're going to need to do, and at the bottom is what the output would be for these field supervisors to be able to make the work planning decisions that are so critical. We then subsequently made a medium resolution version, and we immediately started to go out and talk to some people about what this vision would look like and whether our culture and our senior managers are really on board with this. That was an important part for us. Before we developed a tool or even put in some resources to look into a contract, we really wanted to make sure that they were on board with this. We heard some immediate great feedback, and they said, when can we have it? We really think that this is going to take us in the next direction. We then said, okay, why don't we sit down with some stakeholders, both in the headquarters and in the field, and really walk through their pain points. Don't show them our model and say this is the solution. Really ask them about what their challenge is. And across the board, we really heard it's this tool, this FSMA allocation tool, that is really the sand in our ointment that we're really having a problem with. And so we said, okay, what are you going to do about it? They said, we're going to go out and do a contract. It's going to cost about $100,000 to move this from Excel into a web-based portal. And we said, pivot, let's help you, work with you together on the HHS Ignite process and combine together. And my colleagues from the Center for Food Safety are here as well, and we've kind of expanded our team to partner and develop a tool. We were able to put something together. We have a web-based decision support tool that we've put together, and we've modeled and demoed out to 100+ field staff, and we were immediately saying, oh, thank goodness, this is much improved. It's refreshed nightly, and here's a screenshot of what it looks like. So you have a quick visual dynamic of, for a different region or for the whole country, you can quickly see which firms are due for inspections, which ones have we already done, and those that have been washed out, we have them in a special category so people can really understand where they are and what needs to be done. When you click on the top of the tool, it's dynamically linking to the current state of the firms below, and it's refreshed nightly. So as we make changes to the firm information, we call them up and they don't answer, and we learn that they're out of business. We make that change, and the next day it's not on that list. So we've really been able to address one side of our triangle here, connecting the public health priorities with the global inventory, but there's really a lot more to do, and we don't want to underestimate what we can do in-house. We're going to keep going forward, but we're really here to ask about how can we help close the loop on this triangle. We're continuing our interviews. Like I said, the HHS Ignite principles are firmly in our mind. We're going to continue to do this. In my team of analysts, we've really made this part of the normal process we do to conduct evaluations and assessments. We've asked about what are the mechanics about this process so that we can really start to understand what are the practical operational tools and the next steps that we can do to really make this happen. We heard 3 resounding themes. We need a dynamic tool to automate this algorithm so it too is also refreshed, so when a new firm registers on Monday, we can go out and inspect it on Friday. That's the ideal. We want some GIS mapping capabilities because we're going to send this investigator to the other side of Texas, and he's going to do 3 firms in 1 week, and we want to make sure those 3 firms are all high risk. Finally, we want to be able to match the right investigator with the right firm at the right time. To that last point, we've done some wireframe diagrams to take what the fields are in our system and move it forward. And I see that I'm out of time, so I'm happy to talk through the demos if we have questions. Thank you.
Peter, I guess I get the first one here.
Great.
Very good. I mean, this looks like something that's certainly needed, and there's a lot of good data in here. My first question is, it looks like you have a 3-legged stool here, and you've solved the first leg of this. What is the ask? Is the ask to complete that first leg and then give me more resources for the second 2?
I really appreciate that question. The ask is really, I think, it's the integration of all of these different data sources into one decision support tool that has a rules engine that really we can see into this, make this black box of more of a clear box, and be able to take ownership of the rules that are telling us which firms are high risk. If there's an outbreak, we want to make sure that that's weighted higher and it moves to the top of the list. And so we're really thinking that this is a difficult IT solution that we're going to need to reach out to different contractors and ask for their support, but continuing to work alongside them because the business operation is really important with the stakeholders.
If I understood correctly, maybe I didn't, your first ask was boiled down to GIS software. I dare say virtually everybody in this room is carrying around a mobile device that has mapping capacities. Why do we want to create our own, for heaven's sakes? What's the matter with Google Maps?
Absolutely. So we have GIS capabilities in-house. We are using ArcGIS and also Tableau, and we actually have integrated them already into this tool. The problem is, especially when you're out in the field, we're not yet at the point where people are given those secure devices to be able to map that. We're working on some tablet pilots to be able to do that. But the bigger issue is not understanding where the firms are. It's we think that information is out of date. And even if you know where that firm is, if it's out of business, it doesn't help us. So it's more of an underlying problem of making sure that this accurate data is refreshed nightly, and all of this is brought together to help make these decisions. GIS is only one way to execute that final leg of that assignment.
So I'll just compliment you on the process. It sounds like you not only have you embraced going out and talking to the people who are doing this every day and understanding where their pain points are. I like your future direction of reimagining the entire inspection process. I just want to kind of piggyback on Peter and Ned's comments. So sounds like you found, and congratulations by the way, you found other people's money to help fund something you want to do. That's great. And so that piece is partly done, but there's this like sort of intelligence prioritization element, if I'm understanding correctly.
Right.
And there's also some location-based piece. Is that right? Are there 2 separate things? Is that right?
No, so what happens is there's all of these different pieces of information that ideally are used to make the right decision about which firm should we go to and who should we send to that firm. The problem is right now we have those, but they're scattered throughout the investigator's desktop and they have to pull different reports.
So let me interject. So out of all the different factors that weigh into that prioritization, have you gotten a sense from talking to these inspectors what are the top 3 and what's the order?
Yes, for the Food Safety Modernization Act, cover by date is the most important. We have to look at these facilities. Once we determine whether they're high risk or non-high risk, we have to look at them within a certain time period. But then within that, we have to understand the inherent risk of the products that are being made. For example, seafood tends to be riskier than some types of produce, for example. So that's where we think we can add another layer of differentiation and prioritization in with this model. That's what the rules engine that we're proposing.
What do you anticipate the overall value is going to be and the impact is going to be when you have this thing entirely built out? I mean, are you going to be able to do more inspections? Are you going to be able to do more valuable inspections? Are you going to save staff time and money? I mean, what's the ROI here? 3
areas. 1, planning the work plan, which my shop does, is a cumbersome process. It's often based on guesswork about what's going to be happening to these facilities. By having a tool that dynamically has industry information, we can use some scenarios to plan out if we had X amount of resources, here's what we would be able to cover, and make some determinations there. Second, the efficiency piece, having updated firm information means that we're not going to waste out. We've estimated that it costs $400 per washout inspection. We did 20,000 inspections last year, of which 20% were washed out. That's about $1.6 million of costs that we could then pivot and have them focus on high-risk firms that we know are viable. The final point is really making sure that we're capturing these firms and giving them a correct oversight as soon as possible. So our key metric there is from the moment they register with us to when they first receive an FDA visit, we want to shorten that time to be much, much less than 3 years.
Thank you. We're actually out of time. So thanks, Chuck. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's a
Appreciate
great
it.
work.
Thank you.